Welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the differential pulse code modulation technique. Previously, we have discussed the pulse code modulation techniques, in which it consists of sampler, quantizer, and encoder. And at the output of the encoder, we are having n into fs bits per second as the data rate. So the bandwidth is directly proportional to the data rate. So as the bandwidth is directly proportional to the data rate, and the data rate is directly proportional to n, the bandwidth is directly proportional to n. And the n depends upon the number of levels present in the quantizer. So if we can able to control over the value of L, we can have the control over on bandwidth. In this case, we are going to alter the quantization process with some kind of modifications to develop differential pulse code modulation technique. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the architecture of the DPCM transmitter and receiver. Also, how the SNR is improved in DPCM over the PCM system. This is what we are going to discuss under this session. Generally, in a PCM system, each sample is quantized independently, in which previous sample values have no effect on the quantization of the next sample. If a band limited analog signal is sampled at a rate greater than the Nyquist rate, then let we assume an analog signal like this, and if I am taking samples very apartly, then this will not mean that this particular sample is correlated to this sample, because they are having some different values and separated apart. But if we sample the signal at very greater than the Nyquist rate, the samples will be very closely located, so that the correlation between the adjacent samples, suppose let we take this as the sample number 1 and this as the sample number 2, then the sample 1 and 2 are correlated to each other. Similarly, the sample 2 and 3 are correlated. Hence, we can say that the adjacent samples are highly correlated to each other. Hence, we can able to predict the information about the next sample from the value of the previous sample. Hence, it is not rapidly changed at a particular time instant. So, it may be changed very few types of millivolt, like in that manner it will change. When these highly correlated samples are encoded by the encoder, the resulting encoder signal will contains redundant information. For example, if I am considering this is the sample of the analog signal presented here, and if these samples are being quantized to some levels, let we assume these are all the levels, then this will be fixed, the next sample will be quantized. So red color line determines the sample and the green color line determines the quantized value. This is how the quantization will be done. So more number of bits are required to, or more number of levels are required to encode, to quantize these informations which are having highly correlated samples. So the difference of successive sample almost always is much smaller than the full range of the sample values. So we can do the quantization by considering the difference between the two samples, two adjacent samples. That means if I draw the correlation graph, you may able to know. And the correlation will have the highest degree of correlation when the time is equal to 0, when the time shift is equal to 0. At the same instant, the same signals are having the highly correlation, but at the different time instant, the samples are having some, the correlation level will be getting less. So if we do the sampling duration, if we do the sampling with the sampling duration Ts very close, the sampling correlation will be more. At the same time, if we have the sampling time, larger sampling time, then the correlation will be very less. So if the correlation is more will be the redundant information at the number of levels in the quantizer as well as the output of the encoder, because the total levels are being converted by into some number of bits at the encoder side. Hence, the quantization will be done in such a way that it will only quantize the sample value and the estimated sample value from the previous samples. For that, in the feedback of the quantizer, we are using a filter called as prediction filter, which is used to predict the current sample value with the help of previous quantized values. Now, the input signal to the quantizer is defined by PE of n, and the output of the quantizer will be represented as PQ of n. PE of n is nothing but the prediction error. And this prediction error is determined that P of n is equal to xs of n minus xs cap of n, where xs of n is the original sample value. At n, and xs cap of n is the estimate of xs of n. And this estimate of xs of n is determined with the help of previous values of the quantizer, that we will deliberately see in the next slide. In the case of DPCM transmitter, we are using a prediction filter which is constructed using a tap delay line filter or discrete time filter as shown in the figure. So each tap is consisting of one delay and one product term, one multiplier, and each tap is being weighted with some weight C1, C2, like that. So let me assume this tap delay filter construction is drawn like this. Z inverse is an unit delay. This element is called as unit delay. So if I give the input xq of n to this unit delay, then we will get xq of n minus 1 at the output. So to the next tap, xq of n minus 1 is given. So the output of the next second tap will be xq of n minus 2. And we are considering here this prediction filter consists of n number of taps. N number of taps, then at the output of the nth tap is xq of n minus n. And each of the tap is weighted with some coefficient C1, C2 and up to Cn. And all are being summed together, and we can write the summation x cap of n as C1 into xq of n plus C2 into xq of n minus 1 plus C, and it is going up to Cn into xq of n minus n. Since xq is the input of the prediction filter and xs cap of n, the estimate of xs of n is the, that is the estimate of the sample is the output of the prediction filter. Input of the prediction filter is xq of n, and this xq of n is nothing but the quantized value of the prediction error and the predicted value of the current sample. Hence, this estimate xs cap of n is determined by the summation of I is equal to 1 to n Ci xq of n minus 1. So it is taking the prediction with the means of forward linear prediction. There are two different types of prediction methodologies are there. Linear prediction consists of two different methodologies. One is forward linear prediction, and the second one is backward linear prediction. If we can able to say the estimated value of the current sample from the values of previous samples, then that kind of prediction is called as forward linear prediction. And if the estimate can be produced with the help of the future samples and predicting the past sample, then it is called as backward linear prediction. The input of the prediction filter is given by xq of n is equal to xs cap of n plus pq of n, that we know. This is the input to the prediction filter xq of n, that will be equal to this xq of n will be equal to the input of this summer is pq of n xs cap of n. So we can write this as xs cap of n plus pq of n. This is what we have written here. And the quantizer output is given by pq of n is equal to, because the input of the quantizer is the prediction error. The prediction error is nothing but xs of n minus the difference between the original sample value and the predicted value. So the output of the quantizer will be pq of n. So pq of n is nothing but the quantized value of pe of n. So we can write pq of n as pe of n plus xe of n, where xe of n is the quantization error. because the quantization process consists of two process. Either it may truncate the value or it may round off the value. When we do these any of these two operations, there will be a small error called as prediction error, which is deviating the original value of the sample, and that value will be considered as the prediction error, xe of n. So the quantized output will be equal to the input plus the prediction error. Sorry, input plus the quantization error. Now, if you substitute the value of PQ of n in this expression, then it can be written as xs cap of n plus PE of n plus xe of n. And we know that the input of the quantizer will be the prediction error, and the prediction error is nothing but the difference between the original sample value and the estimated sample value. So xs of n minus xs cap of n can replace the PE of n. So this will get cancelled. Both the estimate will get cancelled. So xq of n is xs of n plus xe of n. So xe of n is the quantization error, xs of n is the original value, so which will be representing the quantization value of the original sample. This is how we get the original value of the quantization sample, original value of the sample from the quantized value of the prediction error. And this was conversely used in the case of a DPCM receiver. So in the DPCM receiver, we are reconstructing the quantized error signal in such a way that after the decoder, we are using a structure, feedback structure, in which the prediction filter is again presented in the unity feedback loop. This feedback loop is called as unity feedback loop, and this prediction error is going to do the same process. So here xs cap of n estimate is determined by the sample values, previous sample values like C1 xs of n plus C2 xs of n minus 1 and up to Cn into xs of n minus n. Sorry, this is n minus 1, this is n minus 2. Xs cap of n is determined in this fashion and determines the original sample value, and this original sample value is passed through a low pass filter to reconstruct the original analog signal. This is how the DPCM receiver is reconstructed. In PCM system, the SQNR in the case of a uniform quantizer will be 3 by 2 into 2 to the power of 2n in the case of PCM system, and if we go with the uniform quantizer. If we go with non-uniform quantization, SQNR will be 3 divided by log of mu 1 plus log mu the whole square into 2 to the power of 2n. This is the case for non-uniform quantizer. Here, in PCM system, sampler, quantizer, and encoder will be there. But in DPCM, instead of this quantizer, we are using this is the PCM structure. In DPCM, we will have a prediction filter and we will give it to the input, and this is how the architecture is differing from PCM to the DPCM. This is only the difference, because We'll go to the block diagram of the DPCM so that you can able to see. In the place of this structure, in PCM, we are having the quantizer. But in DPCM, we are having the quantizer along with the prediction filter in the feedback path. So there will be a slight change or slight gain change in the output at the output of the quantizer, and that will improve the signal to quantization noise ratio of the entire system, and that we will see briefly in this topic. So the performance metric signal to quantization noise ratio of a quantizer can be written as SQNR is equal to power of the prediction error signal divided by power of the quantization noise. So power of the prediction will be written as expectation of PE square, and the power of the quantization noise can be written as expectation of XE square. And the output signal to noise ratio of the DPCM system is nothing but the ratio between the power of the sampled signal to the power of the quantization noise. And the power of the sampled signal can be written as the mean square value of the samples, and the power of the quantization noise can be written as the mean square value of the quantization error. And now for the convenience, I am dividing and multiplying the mean square value of the prediction error, that is the power of the prediction error, on both the denominator and on the numerator, and this expression will now become GP, which is called as the processing gain of the DPCM system. And whereas this term, the second term in the product will be, the second term in the product is nothing but the signal to quantization noise ratio of the quantizer employed in the DPCM system. So we can write the SNR of the entire DPCM system as the product of the processing gain and the signal to quantization noise ratio. As the processing gain is directly proportional to the power of the sampled signal and inversely proportional to the power of the quantization noise, and we cannot do anything on the power of the input signal, and we can only able to reduce the power of the prediction error by increasing the number of taps in the prediction filter. By that way, this processing gain can be improved. Always the processing gain is expected to be greater than unity, so that SNR will be greater than SQNR. Since SNR is equal to GP into SQNR. If GP is less, if GP is equal to 1, then SNR will be equal to SQNR. If GP is greater than 1, then only the SNR will be greater than SQNR. If GP is less than 1, then SNR will be less than SQNR. So these are all the constraints we are having. So always we are expecting that the processing gain of the DPCM system should always be greater than the unity to maintain a good SNR at the output of the DPCM receiver. So let us assume that the signal power Ex S square, expectation of X square, or the mean square value of the sampled signal is constant, and we cannot alter the mean square value. The processing gain can only be changed with the help of improving the prediction by and reducing the power of the prediction error. Hence, the prediction filter has to be designed in a very stringent manner to reduce the mean square error value of the prediction error. By doing all these things in a better way, then we can get the optimal signal to quantization noise ratio in the DPCM as 4 to 11 decibels greater than the case of pulse code modulation technique. In pulse code modulation technique, we will get an improvement of 6 decibels when you increase 1 bit, whereas here it can be increased up to 4 to 11 decibels of SQNR value, which will improve the quality of the transmission as well as reception. And moreover, here DPCM can require 3 to 4 bits per sample when compared to PCM. That's why the conventional landline telephone system, which operates under PCM technique, uses standard 64 kilobits per second data rate, whereas in the case of DPCM techniques, it uses 32 kbps or 24 kbps data rate systems with the help of these advantages. Here we can say anyhow as the data rate requirement will reduce, the bandwidth requirement will be reduced. This is the biggest advantage of the DPCM system. The advantage of the DPCM system is it is a bandwidth consumption scheme or bandwidth conservation schemes, hence it requires very less data rate to transmit per second. Whereas it consists of several disadvantages, such as it involves complex design in quantizer and prediction filter, so that the cost of the equipment will be very high. So the service provider can able to tolerate the bandwidth consumption with this complex designs in the transmitter and the receiver design, so that the consumers can buy more number of devices since the consumer is more in number. So by considering these two trade-offs, a new kind of technology has been evolved lately called as delta modulation, which will be discussed in the next session. Thank you.